Well, welcome back. This is episode 2 of 9 Plus Wine, where I must say I feel a lot more comfortable. It's not that hot and muggy this time. It's nice and rainy outside. And we've had a bit of time to reflect on the podcast. What did you think, Nick? What was your takeaway from the last time we chatted?
I mean, we weren't awkward, so I thought it flowed pretty well, but we'll jump it around a bit.
G'd up.
I don't know if you saw the gradual sweat growing in our shirts.
Oh my God.
We were ready to finish it up pretty quick by then. It was hot.
If you did watch the last episode, thank you. If you haven't, you'll see where Nick and I happen to sweat from. But yeah, look, keen to get back into it. It's interesting. After the podcast, my way of analysing it was basically I left and I was like, all right, what did I think of that? And I was like, probably a little bit too long, probably jumped around a bit too much. So I was just like, that's my reflection. But this time we're back, probably a little bit shorter. We're going to focus more on a couple of topics, not 17. And this time we have white wine instead of red, which is Nick's favourite, so he can give the reviews.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I'm not a big fan of Pinot Grigio, to be honest. I'm more of a Chardonnay or a Savvy B man, but we'll give it a go.
But yeah, this is a Pinot Grigio from Italy.
Italy.
So I'm not a white man, but I'm keen to try it.
Do you go to the local BWS for that?
No, I haven't actually been to a bottle shop to buy wine in probably like 2 years. I went with you once with a party we were going to binge drink at.
You go to celebrations a bit.
Yeah, not much. Most of my wine's been from a couple of different online stores, which I may or might not get weekly or monthly packages from. But I'm keen to try it out.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Let's have a go.
Bit of a drip.
Shit. Yeah, that's good. That's so smooth. I was expecting a bit of finish, but nah.
Bit of ASMR.
Follows through. What's with the glasses? Why?
So, I don't know the name, but you might have heard that different glasses hold different aromas, and you drink red from a wide mouth glass, you drink champagne from a flute, you drink white from somewhere in the middle. I would say this glass is probably slightly more white than anything. Last week we were drinking out of a bigger glass, which is generally for reds. But in a couple of weeks, I reckon we should bring a couple of different glasses, drink the same wine out of different types.
Yeah. I
won't be able to tell the difference, but you might. I don't know. See what happens.
It's not like I haven't made that many cheese platters. Jesus.
Actually, I was doing some research, and this Master of Wine was on YouTube, and that's exactly what I was looking at. And she was like pairing wine with food, and the first thing she said was like, cheese platters are not wine pairing. I was like, uh-oh.
Such a 20-year-old thing to do as well. Like assume that you have a cheese platter with wine.
Mate, you know it works.
You're an adult.
Anyway, so Nick and I actually went on a cruise last weekend. If you're watching this, it's the 7th. So me and a bunch of mates went on there. How was the cruise, Nick?
I think it was awesome. I think we had a good time. Shout out to Royal Caribbean. They're not funding this podcast, but fuck me, was it a good cruise. Would recommend doing the all-inclusive alcohol package.
Oh, mate.
Book it. Yeah, everyone in the room has to buy it, but it is worth the money. It is 100%. Because everything you're paying is in US.
Yeah.
So you prepay, you're paying Australian. You don't want to carry currency. Who the fuck wants to do that on a cruise? You don't want to think about money. You just want to go up to the bar, get your drink, and keep going.
It's so good because you're on there with like 8 mates and everyone has to use their own card. So you give them 8 cards and you're like, we want 8 Grey Goose and orange juice.
Yeah. Belvedere. On tap.
We want margaritas.
None of this absolute shit.
Nah, fuck that. And when I see them pour it, I'm like, I'm not going to say anything because you're getting paid like $4 an hour. But I want a Grey Goose. What was your takeaway? Mine, if I look over the cruise, it was realising that we have an obnoxious amount of confidence compared to a lot of people. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think myself and Nathan had a really good time. So did the other 6. I think that when it came time to, us having a few drinks and heading out to, the nightclubs and meeting other people, we were in a very comfortable situation, We We weren't acting arrogant or anything like that. We were just trying to have a good time and not really caring too much about what people thought, which I think Nathan will probably touch on a bit more. But, you know, just having a dance with my mate and not really caring what other people thought, I think is...
So powerful.
Yeah.
And we noticed it. We had at least 3 people come up and be like, you guys are actually like one of the loveliest group on this board and you're not wanks. Yeah. So that was nice to hear, considering we were pretty fucking drunk.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I mean, look, you don't lose common decency. You can still be polite when you're off your face, to be honest. But I think that, you know, we're pretty inclusive with everyone. Everyone that wanted to come over and have a dance, for sure, come join us. I mean, you're on a cruise. Who cares?
When I'm thinking about this conversation, like I'm trying to, when I process it, I'm like, how can I bring value to the people watching? And I feel like confidence is something that a lot of people struggle with. So when I was trying to work this out, I thought back over as much of my life as I can think of, trying to think, was there a point where something clicked in my brain? Have I always been confident? What really happened? And I think the further back I looked, I was always put in environments where I was by myself and I had to make friends. All the way back to like year 3 camps, my mum and dad had sent me away because they got over me. And I was just always really comfortable to go up and talk to people. So it's hard for me to sit here and say how to get confident, but if I was to think about it, in the last 4 years, I had a conversation with Nick actually about self-awareness and shit like that. And part of it was I need to get to a place where I don't value other people's opinions. And when you can get to that place, you realize that you have nothing to lose from talking to people.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, like Nathan does care about some people's opinions.
I do.
He just means in more of the situation of people kind of...
Like if I go up to someone, happened on the cruise, if I go up to someone and I'm like, hey, how are you? And they don't want to buy me, I'm like, fucking righto, that's fine.
Yeah, cool.
It doesn't affect me. Most often they want to have a chat.
Yeah.
People, yeah.
Don't say. I know what you're going to say. People love talking about themselves.
They do. They do.
So true.
Yeah, point 1, if you want to start a conversation, focus on them, listen.
Yeah, listen, engage, but not just listen and go, oh, yeah. Actually be engaged. Ask engaging questions to show that you're actually paying attention to what they're saying.
You do that very well. Probably better than anyone I know.
But it's not hard. Like, I'll take something that they're saying of interest. I'll try and find something that they're talking about that interests me, and I'll ask questions that actually benefits me as well. I mean, it's a selfish way of thinking. But, you know, they're interested in that topic. I want to learn something about what they're doing. So, of course, I'm going to ask them.
It's standard.
To touch on your point, but it's so true. And it's a CrossFit quote that I've heard from someone, a good athlete. It's get comfortable being uncomfortable, which I think is a really good point. Like when I was doing the standard fuckboy in Europe kind of trip over summer, you know, there were times where I'm in a hostel by myself. I've walked in, you know, every man and their dog's on their phone. What's going through my head? Okay, well, this guy's traveled halfway across the world to sit on his phone in a hostel? No, I don't think so. I think he's here to make friends. He just doesn't want to make the first move. So just walk over there and say, hey, mate, how you going? Where are you traveling to? What do you want to do? Do you want to go for a drink? Done. Okay, there's your night out. There's 4 people. You have a great night. You make memories.
You can help people by doing that. Like people want to conversate. It's human nature, but some people just struggle to start it off. So you can be probably a alpha and start that conversation with anyone.
But I mean, like perfect example, I was in Belgium with Michael Reed.
Legend.
We were in a hostel and this guy's just sitting there laying down on his phone doing fuck knows what. And there was this lovely girl sitting there as well doing the same thing. I said, guys, we're in Belgium. Like, let's go try some Belgian beer. They're renowned for it. It's heavy percentage. Let's go to a bar and give it a go. We went to a bar that had like 700 beers on tap. I mean, how many times in your life do you get to go to a bar that has 700 beers on tap? Have you been to a bar with 700 beers?
Never been to Belgium.
No, and I've never been again. But you know what? We had a sick night.
How many beers
did you try? I had like 2 beers and I was off my face because they were like 11% alcohol. But, you know, you don't... Like, that wouldn't have happened unless, you know, you instigate it, have a bit of confidence, just say, hey, do you want to have a good time? Everyone wants it.
100%.
It's just no one wants to say it. I don't get it.
People struggle. So what would if you were to give one piece of advice for building your own confidence, what would it be?
It's just what I said at the start. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Put yourself in positions that make you it's kind of that sink or swim mentality. Put yourself in the end of the pool, you know?
My answer to most things is do more. Yeah. Like everything you've ever done. Learning to ride a bike, learning to swim, the first kiss, fucking everything is always do more. Every answer to everything is do more. I actually go into most situations knowing that I will fuck it up the first time. Podcast last week, the cider, fucking probably riding a bike. I don't remember. Every single thing, talking to women, every single thing that I've ever done for the first time, I fucked it up. And now that I know that, I go into it knowing, all right, all I have to do is get through this first one, reflect, and I have a process now. And then the second time I do it, I get better. Third time I do it, get better.
I want to touch on the point, but I think we should wait for another week to touch on it, which is just being okay with making mistakes, like failure. But we're not going to talk about that now because...
Oh, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I was saying before, it's pretty obvious that people hate... it's pretty obvious, that I hate social media. I mean, I make it out like I do all the time. And it was just interesting. It was interesting on the cruise because you're in a place where there's no reception unless you're paying for it. You know, a large majority see it as a chance to escape. And it ends up being this, you're in your own world. You know, for those 3 days, you've got your group, you're on a cruise ship with 4,000 people and you're in your own world. That's all that matters. There's nothing that you can do on that ship that is going to change the outside world. You know, I could have come back and it could have been a zombie apocalypse, which would have been kind of sick. But nothing...
Coronavirus.
You wouldn't have known that, you know? And I think that gives us the closest feeling of what it was like pre-social media.
Yeah,
which I find really interesting. Seeing how people socially interact, seeing how people, you know, get more comfortable with people and are more willing to try things. I mean, it's crazy to notice.
And you probably saw people struggle on the boat that like couldn't interact without their phone.
Yeah, conversations.
And I've noticed that actually this is probably one of the... I agree with you on most things. Social media, we disagree a little bit. Yeah. But I actually couldn't agree more with you on that point.
It's you see the people who rely on it.
How do you overcome that? How do you explain to someone like it's okay to detox? That was one of the most exciting things for me for that cruise because when like I spend on average 6 hours of phone in my day. My phone tells me that every week.
Wow.
A lot of that's trying to do work, emails, replying, phone calls, all of that stuff. But without fail, there's a lot of time I spend on TikTok, Instagram, not achieving shit. I think that I'm okay at being on my phone. Do you know what your daily is at all? Does your phone tell you?
I'll probably find out, but mine would be majority of work-related stuff.
Yeah. And the thing about the cruise, when I organised it, was like I knew that I would get on, put my phone in a safe and not touch it for 3 days. And I'm fucking so glad that happened. Like, it was just good to switch off for that, you know, hang out by the pool, get to know your mates, just chill, drink, pass out.
No one's on autopilot. And you'll find that, you know, a lot of the time the conversation's better. If you're having a conversation with someone, and this happens to me all the time, it pisses me off. If I'm having a conversation with someone and my phone starts buzzing in my pocket, do you think I'm actually listening to what they're saying? No, I'm thinking, fuck, this vibrating thing in my pocket is pissing me off.
Oh, that annoys me.
Yeah, and it distracts you from the conversation.
Yeah, 100%.
So we're chatting now with 8 guys. None of them are on their phone.
It was that good.
And it's just, it's flowing. It's a good time, you know, and it's the same when you're talking to people you don't know. Like, it's an interaction that both are interested in. It's not like, I'm waiting for old mate to message me on Tinder. So as soon as I hear the buzz, I'll look at my phone and just look down. I don't want to. I'll get into a rant if I keep talking about it. But, you know, I love it. Like, if I could do my job without my phone, or just have one that I could just call on, I would love that.
Look, it is good to detox. Overall, I still think that the world is a much better place with technology as it is, with social media as it is. Yeah. We touched on this last week. Like, people loved Zuckerberg when he came in, and then now he's copping it because of everything's going on in America. But
he didn't plan for it to go like this. It's a beast of its own.
That was my thing. Zuckerberg didn't put anything on Facebook. He created a platform that responds to the things that you as an individual like.
Have you watched The Social Network? I'm pretty sure it was made for like a Who's Hotter. Would You Rather?
That movie, I've heard a few people reference to as like the beginning of entrepreneurship to become cool. When that came out, everyone watched it, and the same as Steve Jobs. Those two movies were probably what has made this transition from athletes being probably like the biggest people apart from A-list celebrities.
Yeah.
And now there's a wave of entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, all of the likes of that coming through, being hot topic, people getting selfies with them. And actually, interesting point to touch with. How much time do you think I spent trying to reevaluate myself when I heard Gary Vee say, don't try and be an entrepreneur because you think it's cool?
I wish you would have said half a second because you don't give a fuck.
But it wasn't.
No.
I spent a long time thinking, is this actually what I want to do, or am I creating a character of what I think the world's going to be? And the only reason that I kind of won that debate internally with myself was realizing that every single time when I was growing up, when someone asked, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What are you going to be when you're older? It was always the farm, like fucking day dot. Something to do with the farm. And it wasn't until I started drinking that cider clicked. So that was an internal debate for a long time.
Like, I mean, you see it on Gary Vee's videos now. He's almost trying to backtrack or try and explain to the masses, because the entrepreneurship or the grind or the hustle has kind of become this idea of its own. It's definitely been stigmatized and takes away from the value of it, which is unfortunate. You know, Nathan's worked his ass off to get where he is today, and to think that he'd just be put with the same brush as someone who's coaches on a weekend and calls it a hustle. that would piss me off.
It's not something I'm going to rant on about, but like the people that know, people that like you, all my best mates, all my family, everyone knows what I've been through. And I'm glad that I can put myself in a position where I can give context from what is considered an early part of my career to exactly what's going on in my life. I don't think there's many people that know me well that would say that like he was just given everything, which, to be honest, I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking that. Like, look at my family. Without any context, it's pretty easy to assume that's what's going on. Yeah, and the thing is, if you thought that, it'd fuck me up. But the rest of the people don't care.
No.
What's your next talking point?
Well, that was my talking point. Just about the whole, you know, the cruise, being away from social media, and then we just kind of ranted on from that. But
I love ranting.
Yeah, I know we do. We get trapped in it. I mean, it shows people what they're really like, and I think I had a perception. I made a few misjudgments of people on the ship, you know, and there's a couple that I can think of, which I'm not going to name, but you know, you have this idea of someone in your head, you know, whether it's a 15-second interaction with them or you've kind of known them for a couple of years, and you start to see their true colours when you get put in environments where, you know, you don't have your phone to rely on. You don't look at their socials to see what image they put up. It's just the person in general.
Yeah, they can't hide behind anything.
Yeah, it's a way more genuine interaction. And if I'm just looking at the 8 guys or the 7 guys I went on with, you know, I'd be happy to say they're all really good mates now. You know, maybe I wasn't that close with them beforehand, but because we've been put in this environment where, you know, sometimes it was uncomfortable in certain situations, I bonded with them, and now we've just got stories for a lifetime.
Well, even this morning, what is it? It's like 10 a.m. And at breakfast this morning, one of the boys messaged, because it was this day, 7 days ago, we were on the boat. And one of them was like, oh, remember waking up at this time on Saturday?
I don't.
But yeah, look, we've been talking about it all week. It's real good. But yeah, look, another thing probably good to touch on is, what are you doing tomorrow?
What am I doing tomorrow?
Yeah, what's your plan for the next week?
I've got to get a flight to New Zealand. So I've got to go explore the Kiwi land for a little bit, just touch base with some of our stakeholders. But that'll be a good week. Good chance to meet some new people and network. I'm looking forward to it. But should be some interesting conversations. Certainly ones that are probably a bit too high level for me.
So what's corporate world like for everyone that works a desk job?
I wouldn't say I'm corporate yet. I would say the industry that I'm in is very...
neat and great.
Yeah, very...
Relationship.
Very genuine.
Have you ever believed more than now the saying that has always been around, it's not what you know, who you know?
Yeah, it's who you know.
Why do you think that now, after everything?
I think it's just, you know, a lot of value comes from where you're from. I think that holds a lot of value. Before someone actually gets to know you as a person, the idea of where you've come from, or what value your last name holds, or where you went to, holds a lot of value. And obviously that creates that mold that the person talking to you is looking at you with. I mean, if I said I went from a lower demographic area, I came from there, and I don't have a university education, well, they might paint me with a different brush to what I'm actually like.
100%. I think that something that I've heard is that you form an opinion on someone in the first 10 seconds that you meet them. Just from pattern recognition, the people that you know in your life.
Body language.
I think that you and I would be pretty good at reading that. But we get shit wrong all the time. And I think that it would take at least half an hour to break that initial thought of constant, like a full-on conversation. And I don't think many people give a half an hour of conversation to someone when the first 10 seconds paints them as someone that you're not going to get along with.
Yeah.
I don't think people give the time often, that first half an hour. If you were to sit through that, you'd have a much better context of who that person is. And like we've spoken to this about mates, people that just don't seem interested in conversating with new people. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You don't need to, but just know that you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you think about, we've touched on the cruise 50,000 times, but you think about these situations where we've gone up and spoken to someone just because, they look like a good time, we want to have some fun. And, the adventures you end up going on because you've just had the courage to go and talk to that person for 15 seconds and introduce yourself. I think it's amazing. Like,
well, there's probably
like chuckles about it, but there was some good.
There's probably like 7 people watching this that have seen me in a G-string in the last week.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, see, we don't even talk about that. I mean, look, again, okay, this is why social media is good. You get to see everything that happened, which I wish we did.
The one day people actually took their phones out.
Yeah, I know, and record. Oh, Nathan has the balls of steel. Like, I couldn't do that. I don't know how you did that. I couldn't do that. As soon as I heard we were playing a game, Battle of the Sexes. As soon as they said you have to dress a man in drag, I was like, nah, that's not for me. I've already had lipstick on my face twice tonight. That's enough for me.
I looked around. Everyone was just like...
I looked at you. Everyone looked at you because you'd helped me out throughout the whole night. Yeah. You were as sweaty as me.
Mate.
And then you just flaunted it. I mean, those legs are made for a woman.
If anyone wants the video, just let me know. I'll send it to you. But to be honest, what was going through my head... a fair amount of alcohol, plus the fact that I knew that I would look over and see 7 of my closest mates fucking pissing themselves. And that made it worth it. Like, that video has actually gone all around my work.
Has it?
Yeah, 100%.
That is awesome.
I've had, that many people come up to me, hey, sexy.
Oh, that is gold.
That good.
Mate, and so no one judges. And if they did, you wouldn't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
So
but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Most people would see that as a bad thing. I haven't had anything but positive reinforcement from that, like, legend.
Yeah.
That's just true. If someone called me a fuckwit, I would tell you right now. No one on the cruise.
But you wouldn't care anyway.
No, I wouldn't. But that's hard to do.
Oh, 100%. I don't know how you did it.
What's your takeaway from this week?
I mean, what we just spoke about is pretty important. Don't perceive people in that first 10 seconds, or don't hold that value and be stubborn about it. I mean, that's so true. I did that
100%.
So many times.
Well, everyone does it.
Yeah. Give them that time. I mean, I get we're all time poor, but, don't make the assumption then just be stubborn about it. 100%. Give them a go. Listen. Engage.
Yeah. Focus on the other person. Be selfless. To be selfish, actually.
That's so true.
That's so true.
Be selfless to be selfish. I've called my dad out on that before.
It's fucking accurate, man.
It's so true.
It's so true.
It's like, I know why you're doing it.
It works. Yeah. There was one thing I just remembered. If you're watching me, I just had like a blank face. I was thinking about this week, and I actually want to, if you've watched this so far, I want to ask something of you. If you think that you are not great at talking to people, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 3. And then that's the amount of people I want you to start a conversation with every day this week. The next 7 days after you watch this podcast, I want you, whether it's at the shops, at work, whatever, someone that you don't know, I want you to just try and have a conversation with.
Yeah, or it doesn't even have to be a conversation. Just say hello.
Just more than hello. Hello's like...
Come on. They
don't
even say hello.
Look, hello's the breaking line. If you say one word more than hello, you've won the challenge. If it's just hello, you lose.
Okay.
That's starting the conversation.
Hey, how you going?
That's it.
That's it.
Hey, how are you? And 1 to 3 every day.
We'll get into a conversation about it again. I think environment plays a big role in this.
It does.
You know, like
Shopping centres.
Would I go to bar ends and just go up to a random girl? Probably not.
Yes, you would.
Okay.
If I was there.
Yeah, if you were there. So if you've got 1.5 minutes left, what's the one takeaway from your week?
From this week? The week that was. Serendipity, actually.
What?
No, seriously. Things happen that, like...
I don't even know what serendipity means, mate.
It's... How do I explain serendipity?
You don't have much time.
It's like, oh, look, that happened. You know how we were talking about overnight success? Oh, I worked for 12 years to get into that meeting. Serendipity. I met this guy probably 6 months ago. I went to a liquor accord in Camden, which was a bunch of bar owners. 6 months later, he signed me up to BWS in 17 stores. That's serendipity.
Okay.
Just from being in the right place. Not the intention of going there for that, just to be there. You meet someone, conversation happens. Like, if you want something to happen, you need to make your own luck. Love that.
Good stuff.
But yeah, look, that's actually a mint podcast. We are that much more relaxed. Maybe it's the white, maybe it's the heat, not sure. But good chat.
Yeah, good chat.
Yeah. Let us know if there's anything you want us to touch on. We can talk about most things.
Actually, be good if we got a suggestion if someone watched it this far.
I'm going to make one up if no one gives it to us. But if you can leave a comment,
yeah.
DM me, look at me funny, anything, we will touch on that.
Shit.
Yeah,
just anything. We take constructive criticism.
Love it.
Tell me I'm shit.
I'm waiting for someone to shit on me. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya.